when I was completing my bachelor's degree in 2016, that was a time when data science field was actually blooming. We used to get these articles. I remember reading them in the morning from Times of India, like data science is the sexiest job in the 21st century.
क्या आप डेटा साइंस में करियर बनाना चाहते हैं या फिर क्या आप फॉरेन में जॉब करना चाहते हैं? Stay tuned for today's session. Hello folks, welcome to the series named The Placement Guide, where we help students to know about the hiring processes of their dream companies and different career opportunities. Today, we have a very special guest amongst us whose name is Supreet Kaur. She is currently the Assistant Vice President at Morgan Stanley in New Jersey, United States, and had several years of experience in data science field. She is also the co-founder of Databuzz initiative and was graduated from Delhi University in 2016. She has also done higher education from Rutgers University in data science domain. Thank you so much, Supreet, for accepting our invitation and coming up to this show.
Thank you, Madhur. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
So before we proceed, do like and share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel for more such videos. Let's deep dive into your journey, Supreet. So how did you develop your interest into the data science field?
Yeah, so when I was completing my bachelor's degree in 2016, that was a time when data science field was actually blooming. We used to get these articles. I remember reading them in the morning from Times of India, like data science is the sexiest job in the 21st century. And then I kind of started deep diving into what is data science, what are the skills required, because I was already from a maths major. I was looking for applications of mathematics. And math is a very research oriented field. You don't have like any direct application to it. But data science, in data science, you can actually leverage a lot of math and stats that you study during your bachelor's degree. So after research, talking to some of the data scientists who were based here, who were based in India, I felt like this could be a profession for me. And that is when I started and I decided to pursue my master's in data science. In India, back then, I know a lot of programs are coming in now, but at that time it was still new and you didn't have a lot of master's degree opportunities, specifically in the field of data science. And one thing that I realized during my bachelor's was taking a lot of leadership roles, that I really like the thought leadership aspect of any job. And I didn't want to completely give my business acumen that I had developed in 3 years. And that is why I decided to do a dual degree, which is MBA plus MS, called MBS, a Master's of Business and Science in Data Science, so that I can get the MBA component of it, and at the same time, I can study about data science. That is when I landed in USA, and that is how my data science journey started.
Yeah, that's really nice journey. Doing both MBA as well as higher studies in data science together, it would be really very informative. And also today, data science field is still so much trending, and like every young students wanted to get into data science and AI fields.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like over the years, data science is now evolving. So you need to understand and where your niche is, what you actually want to do. Data science has a data component to it, because as you must have read, 80% of the time for a data scientist goes in data preparation. So most of the bigger companies now, like Morgan Stanley, we have a separate data team that kind of takes care of all your data needs. Then you have a machine learning aspect of it, which is if you're actually interested in building models and just doing that, right? And then there's also a research component of it. If you're interested to go in AI research, where you might want to read papers and then try to implement it over your company's data and build use cases around it. So for any budding data scientist, I think that is something that you need to explore, which is where do you want to land in your job?
Yeah, completely agree. for students, it's really very important to explore different components within data science also, and then pick a niche and then start working on that part. So
Exactly.
can you share about your work role as data science consultant at ZS and Pharma ECE?
Yes. So at ZS and PharmaACE, my major role was obviously to build state-of-the-art machine learning algorithms around different use cases. And one of the most interesting use cases that I did was build demand forecasting models for patients. And there are YouTube videos available for that. I gave a talk previously, I think 2-3 months back on that as well, as to how we can leverage machine learning to predict the number of drugs required for a patient every month. And this is a very critical problem because we are talking about rare diseases where it is very important for patients to get their drugs on time. So how you can leverage machine learning to do the accurate predictions so that you can do a lot of those predictions, you can manage your stock, you can avoid wastage. So there are so many useful aspects around that. The other thing that I learned in my job in these 2-3 years was the data component of it. How do you build these efficient data pipelines so that your model can operate smoothly? Because without efficient data pipelines, your model will fail in production at some point or the other. How to automate different processes so that it can be ingested by machine learning. So most of those learnings were from those 3 years. And I was able to know where I would want to land because I started my journey from a startup where I was responsible from start to end. PharmaACE, which was a startup of, I think, 100 people back then. And for a data science project, you're basically involved from start to end. You are the one who's preparing the data, talking to business stakeholders, and even preparing the models. So it gives you a holistic picture of how an actual data science project will work on a production level.
Yeah, so a startup experience is really very amazing, and it helps us to know the complete process related to a particular project.
Exactly. Totally agreed.
So how should a beginner approach to get into the data science field?
Oh, wow. So obviously there's not one size fits all approach, right? There are so many different paths you can take to kind of explore where you would like to land. I think the first thing is definitely do your primary research, right, as to what a data scientist does. And do it on all the jobs, right? A data scientist, an ML engineer, an applied scientist, a data analyst, a business analyst. But that is not sufficient. The second step is talk to the people who are already there. Talk to them about their day to day and see what interests you. And then start building your career path around that, right? Your career path can be built through, again, you can either do a master's degree, you can go for your higher education in India or abroad, or you can even start doing online courses and see where your interest lands, or you can even take internships around that. So there are different paths that you can explore. And that is what I even do at Databuzz, is to guide people on what they would like to do. Because as I said, everyone's journey is unique. My journey has been very unique. I was not an engineer when I landed in the data science program, where most of them were engineers. I didn't even have like the 16 years education, which is the minimum qualification criteria for you to land in US. But I was able to do it because I could compensate it through other things in my bachelor's degree, like getting a higher GPA, being involved in a lot of leadership projects, a lot of research projects. So that is also one of the mission and vision of Databuzz, is to provide you with, I would say, unique mentoring platform.
Yeah, that's a really nice initiative through Databuzz to help the young minds to explore within data science and to know more about all these things. And also, I feel a lot of students skip this part of talking with people to know more about that role. They are just in hurry to start doing internships and projects and to get a quick job at their dream companies. So that's really very crucial.
Exactly. I think networking is one of the essential components. I have never landed, I think the last 2 jobs that I landed, it was not from applying, it was solely from LinkedIn and networking. So I cannot even stress the importance of networking and building a brand.
Yeah, completely agree. Even I also got my first internship through LinkedIn, and similar to your journey, I coming from engineering background, I am also trying to make a career into the finance space, like the venture capital space. So definitely
Right,
networking really plays a key role.
exactly.
So can you tell about the general shortlisting process that is being followed for the data science roles? Like what type of interview questions or projects that they look for?
Yeah, definitely. So if you are starting out in data science, definitely you are looking for fresher jobs, I would say. The general recommendation or guideline is that start with the analyst roles, right? Like start with the role where you'll be actually doing hands-on work, because that is when you'll understand like the pitfalls of okay how the data works, how a model works. So that is why the recommendation is to start with analyst level roles and then kind of move up the ladder with maybe data science roles or higher leadership roles, whatever you are interested in. So definitely do that. If you cannot land an internship and get some practical experience around data science, then I would say there are a lot of NGOs that have data science projects that you can do on your dime, and you can still get that experience because they do have the real world company data. So it's not that you're working on a clean data set, because that is not how industry data works. And one of them that actually I'm also involved in is Omdana. We have a lot of these challenges going on monthly, weekly. You can sign up for that and you might or might not get selected. And just do all of that, right? And if even if you don't want to do that, just select a dirty data set, right? Maybe from Indian government data, US government data, and start building around it, right? You can explore the data set, you can do some exploratory data analysis, you can predict something out of that data set. But I'm assuming that you have done your work, you have done your courses, you know how a data science project works. If you have no idea on how a data science project works, then first see solve data science problems on Kaggle, and then you'll be able to get again a holistic picture, and that is when your thinking will develop. And next time you see a data, your thinking juices will tell you that okay, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think Kaggle is a really great platform for the students, and also working on real data leads to a lot of learnings for the students.
Exactly.
So can you share your experience as a mentor at different forums like at Columbia School, College and other places?
Yeah, I think being a mentor is also one of the critical component of learning or of for anyone's development. Um, so what I realized from mentoring is when you're mentoring someone, you also have to be on top of things because now you also have responsibility towards the other person to tell him the right thing, and they are kind of counting on you to give them the right suggestion. So mentoring has really helped me broaden my horizon. Read about what's happening in the latest AI and tech trends. Now, I'm not just limited to what's happening in my job, but when I go to conferences as a speaker or when I do coffee chats with people, that also we do as part of our Databuzz, something similar to what we're doing right now. I kind of know, okay, this is the latest trend. Okay, this is how the market is evolving. And if you see on my Databuzz page, I do share a lot of those latest tech trends as well, because how else will you know about the trends, right? Like you'll know from LinkedIn or you'll know from reading others. So mentorship plays a pivotal role in that. And my experience has been great interacting with people. And as I said, like if I'm still not able to answer a lot of questions, I tell people to register through Databuzz.
So can you tell something about the importance of women in AI initiative?
Yeah, definitely. So along with the other, I would say things that I'm involved in, I am a huge advocate for women in tech, and some of the organizations are taking diversity very seriously. But I still feel that there's a need to have women in the boardroom kind of a thing. That is my thinking. So Women in AI is an NGO, and I decided to contribute there by being the US analytics and tech lead for them. And my role is to kind of drive engagement and for the women in AI and see how we can involve more people, kind of what are the trends of people getting involved in women in AI and what can we do to increase that engagement. So I do a lot of that strategic thinking for them. I'm also involved in women in AI as I was involved as a judge for selecting Rising Star and some other category. We do have our Women in AI awards, so we a jury member for that. So yeah, driving some of these initiatives is kind of my pivotal role at Women in AI.
Yeah, that's a really nice initiative, and it will help a lot of people from diverse backgrounds to get into the AI space and learning together with the different mindsets.
Exactly, exactly.
So can you tell something about your current work role as Assistant Vice President at Morgan Stanley?
Yeah, definitely. So as an AVP, I am actually part of, if you guys know about Morgan Stanley, it's obviously famous for its, investment um, announcements, I would say, that it does every morning. But Morgan Stanley has three main pillars: wealth management, asset management, investment management. And I am part of the wealth management group. And within wealth management, we have analytics and data. Then we have different teams under that, which could be one is the data science modeling team, other is the data strategy team, and I am part of the data strategy team, where I am the product owner of all the AI-driven products that we have within wealth management. And my basic role is definitely to strategize around the data component of it, around, okay, what tools to build, how do we ingest the data, how do we prepare the data for the use case in hand, and doing all of that brainstorm. So it's only been 6 months, but my role will obviously evolve in future on also brainstorming and bringing some of the new use cases where we can leverage AI with the current data that we have in our database. So it's more of a thought leadership AI role that I wanted to aspire to be.
Yeah, there are a lot of overlaps between data analytics and finance space, especially in the last few decades.
Exactly, exactly. Definitely due to regulatory challenges, finance is not able to adopt to AI as quickly as other industries. We deal with a lot of sensitive information in terms of data. Basically, someone is relying on you to handle their finances, right? So that is definitely a challenge, but I feel the way banks are moving now and the way they are adopting AI and leveraging some of the things like explainable AI models and doing the fairness bias testing and all of those components, it's making AI really safe for the users and also building their trust in the brand.
So what is your biggest learning from the experience at Morgan Stanley now?
Oh yeah, wow, that's an interesting question. So I think the biggest learning for me has been to see the other side of the data science, right? That I was not exploring until now. Until now, I was the person who's actually building everything, but I was not wearing the strategic hat, I would say. But now, as I embark my journey in data science, I definitely see myself taking more leadership roles. So this one was a critical change for me to see how to build the strategies around the data to execute any AI product, because input data is one of the critical components of the success of your data science model, along with other components, of course. So that has been my biggest learning, and I feel there'll be more to come. But yeah, in these first 6 months, that's been it.
Yeah, I think learning both the parts, the strategy as well as the hard skills, technical skills, leads to more complete understanding related to one's work role.
Exactly, exactly. And it also makes you a complete data scientist, I feel. But yeah, definitely if you're interested just in creating models, go for it. But for me, it was very important to see the complete picture.
So can you tell some resources which were helpful to you to develop your data science related skills?
Oh, yes, of course. I think we already spoke about Canvas to kind of learn about the data science projects on how to build the data science. clean the data, build those modeling aspects of it, and how to develop those metrics to assess your model, because that is one of the important things for a data science project. The other resources, there are a plethora of online courses out there, and it can definitely be a tough choice of which one to choose and which one to not choose. I always say that stick to one resource, right? It can be just doing all the Udemy training, so all the Coursera training. It doesn't matter if you study Python from Udemy or Coursera. What matters is, were you able to execute them in a real life project, or at least a Kaggle project? That will add value to your data science portfolio. And same applies to other skills. Modeling are another important resource in terms of books is that if you are preparing for some of the data science interviews, there is a book called Ace the Data Science Interviews by Nick Singh. It's available on Amazon. I feel it's a very important resource because it kind of guides you on how the interview process will look like. And that is exactly how it will look like if you're applying for a FANG, now manned companies. And it entails questions on statistics, computer science, modeling questions, and then case study questions. So definitely consult that as a resource. And another resource which I feel is important is ISLR. It's a book about statistics. And for me, coming from a math background, I was really inquisitive on some of the algorithms, I would say the behind the scenes of the algorithms in terms of mathematics. And ISLR was really helpful in that. So if you're starting out your career, do that. But remember that when you will be communicating to your stakeholders, you won't be able to communicate in a technical way. And if you still want to do it in a non-technical way, there are resources like Analytics Vidya that explain all the algorithms in plain, simple English. And that is exactly you will be expected to explain to your non-technical audience. So that is a resource if you are in such a role.
I think a lot of the students make this common mistake of going after a lot of different courses instead of completing and sticking to a single course and then trying to implement it through projects.
Exactly. And another thing that I would like to add there is that if you have already started your data science career and you are maybe 1 or 2 years in, one thing that's important is for you to know what's the latest development that's happening. You might have graduated from a course 2 years back, but those things might not apply 2 years after, right? And such skills might get redundant very soon. So there are new developments that are happening in the AI and data science space. So do keep reading about that. And LinkedIn is one of the best resources for that. There are so many pages out there that you can follow. Databuzz being one. I also write articles on Medium. You can contribute to write, learn about some new topics that will keep you updated, and kind of will also help other people to know what's happening.
Any last message that you would like to give to all our viewers who wanted to enter into data science field?
I think one piece of advice is that it might sound daunting and overwhelming with the amount of resources that are available. But don't worry, there's always someone or there's always a mentor that you can consult to if you're feeling overwhelmed. And there are so many people that you can reach out to on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, people are more than happy to tell you about what they're doing, about how they landed where they landed. So do a lot of coffee chats with people. You might be in any part of the world and you can actually meet anyone. And at the same time, again, keep yourself updated with what is happening. And identify your niche, identify your interest, because once you know what you're really interested in, it wouldn't sound like work anymore. And you'll actually be intrigued to learn more about your niche space. So do identify that, but obviously that you cannot develop, day one of your job. That will take 3 to 4 years for you to identify what you actually want.
I think a suitable quote from Harry Potter series would be suitable here, where Dumbledore says that help is given to all those who ask for. So a similar thing would be there for all the students who wanted to get into this space. Thank you so much, Supreet, for taking out your time to share your experience and learnings. It would be surely helpful to a lot of the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.